We'll be planting 1/3 of the 15 vegetables that will be growing in April. I'm actually a little bit behind, I would guess. A lot of people have already started their tomatoes, and that's one of the vegetables I'll be planting today. But they're a fast-growing plant, so I'm not too worried about it. But we've got a handful of others that we're going to be planting. We're going to be planting beets, radish, my wife's favorite, carrots. We're going to be planting the sugar beets too. So let's get started right away. And we'll start off with something simple like a radish. Radish is a vegetable that you can plant every couple of weeks so you can have a continuous harvest for your salads and for whatever else you need. So I'm just going to use a small container right now. This is just a couple of inches deep. And I'm going to fill it with soil. This is, of course, our homemade potting mix. Flatten it down. So as I mentioned in the 15 seeds we'll be planting in April, I'm going to be planting 2 varieties, the Crimson Giant and the French Breakfast. I'm going to plant 2 containers, one having each. So I'm going to start with the Crimson Giant. So you can plant these pretty closely together. I'm just going to do 2 rows. Couple of seeds in each space. And then in 2 weeks' time, I'll plant another round of radishes. So every 2 weeks, I'll be able to, thereabouts, harvest these radishes to eat. And now we'll water them in. And so now we'll take a tag, pop that in so we can differentiate the two. And now we'll do the French Breakfast. Same thing, fill up our tray, mark out our holes. And plant the seeds. Nice thing about radish seeds is they're big enough to handle. And water them in. And hopefully within a month's time, we'll have some radishes that we can harvest. So it's the same thing. For the beets, I'm going to plant about 20-something beets indoors because that's what a barrel takes, thereabouts. If the turnips that we planted are any indication, and these will end up moving out into the garden once they're big enough. But we're also going to be planting in the garden too. So we're going to be planting some Detroit dark red in half of these, and we'll do the Chayoga, or whatever that is, in the others. As you know, each beet seed is actually a cluster of seeds, so we really only need one seed in each, but I have no problems putting 2 in, just to make sure, and then we thin them down afterwards. And I did say I was going to be doing half and half, so let me get all these seeds out of here now. Otherwise, I'll end up confusing myself. And now we'll be doing the Chioggia beets, or however you say that. The seeds are the same, but slightly different. They have like a browner color to them. And now water these in. Like the radishes, these are also going to be grown in the greenhouse, not in the, not inside, not indoors. And they should be fine out here, particularly now as the weather starts to warm up. So this is the half barrel I'll be planting the beets in. And as you can see, we have one of our overwintered beets that we left there. It looks like there's another one there. It looks like it rotted up. But this one sprouted back, so I'm going to let this one grow to seed and try to collect seed from it. But in the rest of the planter, I'm going to be planting the seeds for here. I just started trying to dig out this beet, and the roots on here actually look pretty strong. They look healthy. So I'm going to leave this in here, and I'm just going to plant around this beet. I didn't expect it to see any decent root system there. So we'll plant all around here. So as always, I like to use my template. And it's not quite lined up properly because that one beet is actually right about here. But that's okay. That'll give us a good enough indication. Now it's going to make it a little more difficult to move this around perhaps, but that's okay. I think I can get the eyeball of where the seed should go. So we'll start with the Detroit Red beets. And I'm going to plant them in this half over here because I think that's what these are, Detroit Reds. And I'm only planting one seed in each hole. Thereabouts. And now we'll plant the Chiagia in the other half. You could plant these 16 to a square foot, 3 inches. I like to do 4 inches per square foot, 4 inches on center or 9 per square foot. And that way it gives the beet the greatest chance of bulbing up into a nice size. You can cluster plant them and you'll get a bunch of smaller beets. They don't mind really growing in clusters, but you'll get smaller ones, and I just want a bigger beet. With these, I'm just going to press and press, pinch and press over the tops of the holes. So now I'll water them in. And we're good to go. As with the beets, the same with the carrots. This I didn't intend to leave over winter, but apparently I left a carrot in there and it sprouted this spring several times because of the frost that we've had. But it's growing back, so I'm going to let this one go to seed and try to collect the seed from it. So I'm going to plant my carrots all around it. With carrots, I do plant them on 3-inch centers, so they're going to get 16 inches per square foot. And just trying to figure out how I could maneuver this. Yeah, let's try this. Without breaking it. There we go. mark out my spacing. So now I'm just eyeballing it. In 2 to 3 weeks' time, I'll be planting a different barrel with more carrots. And that way I'll have a regular harvest of carrots too. So I'll be planting the Nantes Corliss carrot. I'm going to try to get just a couple of seeds in each hole. Oops. And we'll do the same pinch and press that we did on the beets. And by doing it this way, the beet seed, the carrot seed, is not as deep as it might otherwise seem to be. And we'll come back and water that now. If you recall back when we planted the turnips, after we watered them in, we covered them with a board, and that's to keep them moist and keep them from drying out, because the one thing you don't want carrot seeds to do is to dry out. For one, this piece doesn't fit, and two, we got this carrot growing here. So what I'm going to do instead is take some burlap that I've got and lay it on top of the soil, and then I'll water through the burlap. That way it doesn't cover up and crush the carrot that we've got growing, and it'll keep the moisture in and not let it evaporate, because you don't want the seeds to dry out. That's how we're growing the carrots. So I've got the bed prepared for the sugar beet seeds. You can see I've got 2 rows planted out there. And you can see I've got markings all along the side here. Those are 8-inch spacing. Various universities where sugar beet production is big for their agriculture recommend anywhere from 4 to 5-inch spacing. So I'm going to be planting a seed on the mark, in the middle, on the mark, in the middle, so forth. And then in the other row, I'll be doing it in between that. The university extensions say that actual close planting of the sugar beets gives optimal performance. Probably not in a double row like this on a commercial scale. And they also say to target between 1.5 to 2.5 pounds per root for the best quality. You get the highest sugar content, hopefully anywhere from 15 to 20% sugar content in the beets. And that's going to require giving them plenty of nitrogen during the growing season, at which you want to stop about 6 to 8 weeks before harvest, as if you continue to provide nitrogen, it degrades the sugar content in the root. So we're going to try all of these things, but as I said, we're going to be planting 4 inches on center and then offsetting that in the second row. So we should get quite a lot of sugar beets, and they do recommend mid-April as the planting season for optimal crop, for an optimal harvest. So looks like we're right on track, and let's get planting. It's also recommended that the plants be planted 1 to 1.5 inches deep into the soil for optimal harvest. Now you could use nature's dibbers, as one of my viewers called them, but I got the template out just to show the spacing, because this is 4 inches on center here, and it also happens to be 6 inches spacing between them, a little bit further, which is actually better. And so the first seed will be planted here. And on my dibber, these are all 1/4 inch markings, so this is 1 inch deep. So I'll put that into the soil, mark it around, and I'll come here and mark it here, and then come forward and then mark it here and here. And I'll go down the line, but then just to show you on the other side, I'm going to offset that. So we'll start here, here, and here. And that was a mistake. So you've actually got a triangle going like this back and forth. So I'm going to go down and mark the rows, and then I'll come back and start planting the seeds. So we've got all the holes marked out all the way down, and there's about 80 something seeds that we'll be planting, which is more than I had anticipated. Looking in the seed packet, looks like I should have plenty of seed to go around. So, and I've got 2 packets, so I'm just going to drop 1 seed in initially into the holes, or thereabouts, and we'll see how it progresses from there, and we'll be back. Okay, I used up the rest of that 1 packet, and I ended up double planting, triple planting some of the holes. So we've got all the seeds in there, and now I'm just going to lightly cover it over with my hand. No vermiculite, no pinching and pushing and stuff like that. Just going to lightly cover it with my hand, just like this. And then we'll water it in. And so now I'm just watering in the seeds, making sure they get a good drink, and it goes all the way down. So the sugar beets are all watered in, and I'm excited to see how this experiment turns out. If it works out like the averages say, could have anywhere between 80 and 160 or more pounds of sugar beets. That could be a lot of sugar. We'll see. So this is all very exciting for me, getting those sugar beets in the ground. And I'm really interested in seeing how they're going to perform over time. As I have said, this is completely new for me, something I've never tried before, but I really want to see how it turns out. So if you want to see what we were doing in the garden last week, check out this video right here, and then subscribe and hit that notification bell. And that way you'll be able to follow along on the progress on all of our vegetables as we try to grow a supermarket in our own backyard. Okay, thanks for watching.